Question 9 reads, consider the following statements. Amarkantak Hills are at the confluence of Vindhya and Sahyadri ranges. Biligiri Rangan Hills constitute the easternmost part of Satpura range. Third, Sheshajalam Hills constitute the southernmost part of the Western Ghats. How many of the statement given above are correct? So this question, if you see, I have mentioned two sources for this question. I will just go to the links now, but before that, I want to mention the static part of this question. By static part, I mean you should be familiar with various hills and the ranges that are present in India, and with that itself you can answer most of the statements as true or false. Anyway, I'll just show you the links. One second. So this is the static. So I have been building the static page as I go through the prelims question paper. So if you see, for geography, you have to go through rivers of India, sources, state through which they flow, tributaries, then hills of India, ocean currents, various climate present in different parts of the world, flora, fauna associated with it. All that you have to be familiar with. So we will discuss that later. And if you see, as I mentioned two Hindu pages, Hindu news pages for this question. So in this news, you can see that Biligiri Rangan Hills was mentioned, and it was in Karnataka. So if you our question the statement was Biligiri Rangan Hills constitute the easternmost part of Satpura range. So if you knew, like, it's in the Karnataka, then right away you can say that the statement given was wrong. So that is one news. If you see, the date is January 29, 2023. It is within that time frame only. And if you see the second news, Sheshajalam Hills was also mentioned in the news. So Sheshajalam, the news was from Andhra Pradesh. So, and the news itself is not important, but I am saying all these names appeared when if you're a person who regularly goes through newspaper, you will be familiar with these names from newspaper itself. And even if that's not the case, you should be, as I said, there are some static areas you should be familiar with. One of it is various hills and ranges of India. I will show you, I will discuss that. And just before that, I will just see Amarkantak Biosphere Reserve is one, is there in the Man Biosphere Reserve. So if you see, in the environment, I mentioned you should be familiar with all wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, and biosphere reserves. So if you go through various biosphere reserves of India, so there is a special category called MAB program and World Network of Biospheres, and only 12 are listed from India. So if you see, Achenmark Amarkant Biosphere Resource, which is in Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh, is there in this list. So you will be familiar with Amarkantak and that region and the hills and all that also. So my point is, if you go through the static portion, the basic static portions that which you get from the standard reference book mentioned in the beginning of the video, and if you regularly go through the newspaper, you will be familiar with all these terms, all these air regions. So one static portion you should be familiar with is this. So this is, I took this image from a website called PMF IAS. So PMF IAS is one really good source that we could depend to learn geography. PMF stands for poor man's friend, as per the author. So I have found the notes they provide is also very cheap and accessible, and they, even if you don't want to buy anything, they run a YouTube channel and they have a good playlist which covers basic concepts of geography in a very detailed manner. You could go through it. I'm in no way connected to this website or the author. I'm just recommending one good source I have seen. So you could refer this also, or any other standard textbooks. I am not saying this is the only source or anything like that. You could use such sources whenever you see. So if you see, this is a good picture that captures all different ranges and hills of India. So you should be familiar with all these things. So if you see Vindhyas and Satpura's range, roughly where it lies and through which region it goes and what are the features of these hills, you should be familiar with all this. So if you are familiar with all these things, you will be able to answer this question. That is my point. So let me just go back to the question. So from this, western Sheshachalam Hills is in Andhra Pradesh and southernmost part of Western Ghats. That's wrong. Bilgiri Rangan Hills constitute the easternmost part of Satpura range. Satpura range, if you see, Satpura range extends to the central India. So if you say the easternmost part, it is not coinciding with the region of Bilgiri Rangan Hills. So that is wrong. So you can answer all those from these sources. So that is my point about question number 9. So I hope that is clear. The sources which mention the names that appeared in this question and how you should be approaching the geography concepts. And whenever such names appear in the paper, you should be aware where it is located and what are some, and for what reason that appeared in the newspaper, and what are some features associated with it. So yeah, so let's see the next question. Next question is question 10.